That's that law of attraction.
What if I'm right though? We go back. Like, did you already check it? You confirmed, right?
No, I confirmed you weren't. It was me, you, and Colton. Me, you, Gabe, and Colton.
So you got them $5 now, or
I don't know what we titled it, but it definitely wasn't the one because Colton's dad was only here once. Pastor Ken was here once, and that was we called that episode PK. We called that episode the Heavies, and we talked about systematic racism.
His name's Ken Harris, but
yeah. So you weren't there that day, and he wasn't there the day you were here. I know because I got to set all this up, man.
Yeah, no,
every time was just a process.
But the thing is, I listened to the podcast. So that's one thing I love about podcasts is like you feel. Oh, we're going.
Now we're going. Go ahead, bro. You good?
Welcome to the podcast.
No, we on right now. We just do our casual introductions, man. We just start talking. We're gonna tell you who's on the show real quick. You're gonna figure that out soon. But what we like to do is just casually talk, discuss, break bread, and then ease into our recording. If you haven't noticed that already, welcome to the YNL podcast. Cue the fake sound effects.
Gabe here representing Young Nation Live is good. Season 2 finale.
It's your boy here in Miami. Special guest in the finale.
Let's go.
The finale. Talent, 2 L's, Tim. Happy to be here. Happy to be here with my brothers.
Yes, sir.
I just want to highlight these brothers real quick. You just heard special guest Miami.
Yeah, boy.
You might have remembered him from earlier this season. Was that season 1? That was season 1?
Yeah. That was season 1. No, season 2. Season 1?
I was about to say, I've been wrong already. I don't want to go.
Yeah, yo. Well, we're going to talk about it, how this Corona gap just threw us. It's throwing me all off, trying to recollect all these episodes we had. But either way, Miami is back second time around. Won't be the last time. And then my brother Gabe, my partner Gabe. And so we're here. It's 3 of us. And we got a lot of good topics to talk about.
Yes, sir, man. Last time. Go ahead.
I'm going to feature on the track pretty soon. I just want to put
that out. Hey, okay.
We don't have enough time for that. That's for sure. We still
we can make it work.
Well, when we used to record when we were younger, when Timmy first started rapping, oh, man, we'd be in the booth for like an hour to get probably 4 bars out.
That's the truth.
Snap.
Can I take it back further? Let me take it back further. Really similar situation to right now. Right now, we're running through a laptop recording. I had a laptop. I would just bring it to any old room, no soundproof, nothing.
Just nothing.
We would hold the microphone in our hand and pass it around.
Wow.
And just sing these reckless melodic riffs.
What?
Freestyle, all freestyle.
Demonic too, very demonic.
Super demonized.
But it was some of our best stuff. I mean, literally, we would just be...
Was it though?
Well, content-wise, no. Freedom-wise, like we were just expressing.
Coming up with melodies, stuff like that.
Yeah. True creatives.
Very fun. Very
nice.
fun.
Man, that's what you can do when you're young.
Brandon, because our boy Brandon made beats. And he could play piano, bass, guitar. Like he's a musician. And he would make these beats. And then we would just freaking screw off on them.
That was back in 2011?
This is 2009.
Was it the Pro Tools you just got rid of? Was it on that program or not?
That's a good question. It was a purchased version of Pro Tools. So government, it was legal. And
so we'd get really open, and we would try to come up with like hooks. Then we'd try to come up with verses. Like we would sing, we would rap. It was just like we were completely open. But that would show like how open we were with each other. Like we would just like just put ourselves out there. Like this is probably gonna sound crazy, but this is what's coming to me right now, and we would just throw it out there.
No, that's cool. Where did you guys meet?
Timmy and I met through his brother. His brother and I went to school together, and my best friend and his brother were pretty much brothers. And I met Timmy. He was going to East Lyme High School, and my best friend went out there to play football with them. And so that's how I met him. And Timmy was young and wild.
Young and wild. Wow. Okay, so it's been 10 years, 11 years?
No, longer than
2009, 11 years.
Well,
no, because high school. You're right.
Yeah, so 2005 is when I think it was.
2005.
Like
Also,
I feel like we've been Facebook friends for like 13 years.
Yeah, I see.
Crazy.
I see the memories, and it's so cringy. Some of the things that we write.
Did you say cringy?
Cringy. Yeah. Is that what I said?
Yeah, you good.
No, that's accurate.
Yeah, it is. I look at some of the posts that I put up, some of the things that I was doing at the time, and I'm like, all right, delete this right now before anyone sees this.
Yeah, same thing. I was just looking at something old that I wrote, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
Gabe, you so young. How old we talking here?
But the change
when I was like 20.
It's very evident, man, just to see like how you were. And the crazy part is it's all on Facebook. Like anybody who knows you for X amount of years is like, you used to be that way and now you're this way. But I mean, not for nothing, I'm pretty transparent on Facebook and I'm active. So like my whole life is on there.
Yeah. I was looking through all my old like songs, and it was just the other day.
Yeah.
Before I even went to a studio, where I was just living at my mom's house, still rapping, through a window, and it was funny, man. And I was like, and that just made me think about like the size of the servers that Facebook must have.
Yeah,
like, that's like 10 years of my life plus 30, 40, 50.
Stored.
You're
talking like saved on that.
It's all servers.
That's
it's
wild.
not in the air. There's hardware.
Right.
Yeah, and I try not to do Facebook. I the long posts people write and stuff like that, it just turns me off. I'm more like an Instagram person. I like to look at the pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the post underneath the picture is not just open for you to read. And so Facebook, it just turns me off. I can't do Facebook. But Instagram, I like Snap a lot.
You're a Twitter guy too, though.
Are you a Twitter
I don't
guy?
tweet.
You're a lingering
in that
Twitter
Twitterverse.
I like it because of the immediate news that you get, like the news reporters or the artists or people that you follow. They put out their content first on their Twitter, so you're like the first to get it, and then you get to see what's trending and stuff like that.
Yeah, I never got into Twitter. And matter of fact, to go back to your other point, as much as I love transparency, you're right. I don't like Facebook for the simple fact that there's too much. Like my wife and I, we're super introverted. I mean, we would love to just reside in that area, but it's like, especially running this music thing, it's like you have to do it. And so, you'll see me post things that have to relate to the company. But as far as my personal life, I'd rather just chill.
I just never want to fall for the trap. Like, listen, I never put my life on social media, but today I'm gonna tell you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to fall for that.
I usually don't do this. So.
Yeah, I never do this. And then before you know it, it's like, well, there's like 7 paragraphs here, so you got a year's worth in this one post.
Or even like, say I'm fed up with Facebook and I'm about to delete it. The thought will go through my mind to type a status like I'm about to be off this, blah, and then like while I'm typing, I'm like, why am I even?
Like, who
just
even
delete
really
it?
Like, that's the thing is when I read these things, I just really think like you see how serious people take themselves, and it's like, who do you think cares about this? Like, like it's entertainment, and the thing that's more entertaining than anything is negative news. And when people are doing something negative, they get 1,000 likes, they get views, they get everything. And when people are doing positive things, it just gets overlooked. And so that's what runs social media right now, is just negativity. Like, and that's the thing that I hate about Twitter is to be a good Twitterer, you have to be negative.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to be on the edge, say something crazy, something.
Yeah. Like the rants. People love Twitter rants.
Yeah.
You hear about that in the news.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so's Twitter rant.
I've never even had a Twitter. I don't even know what it's about.
It's honestly, it's too late for you to get in. Like, for you to tap into that algorithm, you never hack it, bro. You never hack it. You get 0 views.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Instagram now. It's like,
wild, right?
Yeah, like if you don't, unless you are already well known, and then you say you do, like for example, we have a recording studio. If we are a well-known recording studio, every person that we have in record, follow us on Instagram, then I can see some kind of growth. But like like me, I just made it public that I'm doing videography, photography, all that.
Right.
And I'm sitting back thinking, I'm like, man, like I'm not gonna get a lot of real organic followers through hashtags.
Yeah.
Although that's the way to go about it. But I will get it if I just start doing gigs and putting them onto my stuff.
Right.
And then they can word of mouth, like, yeah, it's image.him. Check them out on Instagram. Blah blah blah.
Oh, we're gonna take it there. First of all, congratulations for that. Studio round of applause.
Let's go.
Image.him. Gabe launched his videography company.
Yes, sir.
This is the incubation stage. So anybody hearing this, like, you're here from this is ground zero, right?
Ground zero. Yep. So I already got a few projects on there that you can check out, some behind the scenes stuff, and I'm gonna keep it like that, real behind the scenes kind of things. I'm excited. You know what I like? I'm excited for you. But you know what I like about it is it's been 1 year, bro. Remember we were talking about when you picked up your camera? Yeah. For your wife? Yeah, it is my wife's camera. So
you picked up your wife's
camera. I'm using it more than her, but if she decides to take it away, we'll be going out to buy another one. But
remember that
that's
episode?
An excuse to upgrade.
Exactly.
It's an excuse to upgrade cameras.
the episode you were like, yeah, I had this camera for like 4 weeks, something, but you had it for like 1 week.
No. It was like, I've had this thing for months. And then we looked at the numbers. It was like, bro, you got to like...
Well, time is flying.
You just got that thing.
But I say that because it was 1 year ago. So June.
Wow, yeah,
we were started shooting videos June 2019.
Wow.
And now you're launching the company. And I feel like your quality it's like you're ready to go. You put in the groundwork, you did the trial phase, and your quality is so up there that you're ready to launch.
Man, I
photos
appreciate
too. Those
that.
photos are mega
Yeah,
clean.
you know what?
I know
It's
you're just
funny.
doing still shots. No, I'm joking.
My wife's a photographer. I'm more comfortable with video. So if you see a picture that I post, it's literally a still shot from a video that I took.
Oh, really?
And I'm just taking them right and then putting it as a picture. But I'll make sure to say it's a still shot because I don't want to be false out here.
That says a lot too, though, of your video quality that your still shots from it. The frames, right? It's like just one frame.
Yeah, yep. I'll pause the video and then like scroll through the timeline, and if once I see the subject has like a great face, everything's good as far as the quality, I'll just take that, and that'll be the photo.
And it looks excellent.
Glory
to God.
But Miami, son, fill us in. Before you were here before Corona hit, and now you're afterwards. Let us know some of your W's, some of your L's. What's going on?
Wow. So Corona came and it's still here. It's lingering. But to be honest with you, we've had wins and we've had losses. So my girlfriend, before this all started, she had just got a job at United Airlines as a flight attendant. And so she really started getting that rolling. And the airlines are one of the hardest
hit, right?
Yeah, one of the hardest industries that are being hit by the COVID-19. So that set us back. But as far as me, I was able to keep my job and I was able to work and keep us afloat. And that is a W for us. We're winning as far as that.
That's real.
It's just been blessings. There's been a lot of help. It's helped me save a lot of money, not being able to go out and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about seasons that we're in and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of things that are being forced, like a lot of forced change. And so that's helping me a lot in a lot of ways. So there's blessings on top of all this is going on. So
wow. So all right. So you mentioned your girlfriend?
Yes. Yep. Future wife. Speaking of,
I was going to say wife.
It's his wife.
I was like, I don't know. But so girlfriend, Tiffany, right?
Yes, yep.
Word. So no job? Airlines was like, come back later? What are they doing?
So the thing is, she was working for a while, but then it got really scary because it got bad. So there was like shutdowns and stuff like that. And we were just worried that maybe she would get stuck in a state and maybe like hotel workers wouldn't go to work and stuff like that. So she took a volunteer furlough is what she took.
Okay.
So
and she wasn't the only one. Like other.
So they offered it to them. They wanted them to take them. And so, there was benefits to the unemployment and stuff like that they sold them on. So she just took it. And like I said, she was working out of Jersey. So she was pretty much coming out of ground zero. And so that was something that was like worrying us a little bit.
Wow,
where she's working out of. So
working out of Jersey, is that a commute to Jersey every day?
So she flies out of Jersey, but it's not every day. So she'll be gone for maybe 4 to 7 days at a time.
Oh, wow.
So she'll only commute there 1 day and then 7 days later commute back. So
how was that being without your girl for 7 days, man? That's crazy, right?
It's awesome, to be honest with you.
It's a good
I see you in that Hawaii pic.
To be honest with you, it's like the best of both worlds. So it's like I get to be alone and then I miss her. So it's like, what they say about absence, like makes the heart grow fonder. So that's how it is. Like I literally miss her so much when she's gone that when she gets back, the time feels more like quality time.
That's
what
awesome.
I'm saying? Compared to being with her all the time. For the kids, it's not as easy. It puts a lot more on me to do, but I take the responsibility and I just run with it. So I love it. And she gets to travel and she's meeting new people and she's doing things that she would have never done in her life had she not had this job opportunity.
Wow.
And so I'm happy for her. And it's just...
That's awesome. So what are some of the highlights, like as far as places that she loved that you know about?
So... See, that's the thing. I say I love this, but depending on where she's at and what she's doing, sometimes it doesn't feel like she's working. So, like, if she's in Miami and she's like, "Oh, I'm about to go to South Beach," I'm like, "Hold on!" And here I am. I'm fixing, I'm fixing the dinner for the kids. I just came from work, and so, but she's been everywhere. I mean, she's been to Ireland. She loved Ireland. She's been to
be a flight attendant.
Yeah, Bogota, Colombia. I would love to be a flight attendant, except I get motion sickness.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really bad.
It's called a stewardess. That's her title. She's a stewardess.
Yeah, yep. Well, like flight attendant, stewardess. Yeah, just attending to everybody that's and she loves it. She absolutely loves it, and I love it that she loves it. So it's
good for her. Shout out to
money.
Tiff. Tiff is awesome. I'm happy she got that position.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was a process to get it. I remember.
Yeah, so she was doing it for a while. She kept interviewing and stuff like that. But it's just like what we were talking about, the law of attraction, right? Was it what we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, we were talking about that. We're denouncing it, but if you want to get into it, let's go ahead.
But that's so funny because when she started, she would do the video interviews. And it wasn't until she actually, in her video interview, we were doing like YouTube research and stuff like that. And they were saying to dress like a flight attendant during your interview, and she actually dressed like a flight attendant, and that was like the first one where she got to like carry over. And in the second interview, when she went to it, she dressed like a flight attendant, and then she went to the so it's like, you do have to start dressing, thinking, acting like what you want and to be. If you want to be, a flight attendant, you have to look the part.
I want to
that's good advice for anybody, not even just flight attendants. If you look the part for your interview. I feel like that's great advice.
Right. Prepare for that part. But two scriptures that come to mind is one's is Psalms chapter 37. He says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." So we know Tiffany's a Christian, and she delights in the Lord. She spends time with the Lord. She has a relationship, and so I believe that job is a desire that He's given her. It's obviously not a bad endeavor. It's a positive thing. It affects other people, and it allows her to display her Christianity to other people all around the world, really. So I believe that is a desire He put on her heart. So that's a good thing. And then there's another scripture, Proverbs 16, and it says, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails." So if she got this job, the Lord's purpose prevailed. And she may have all these plans, but this came to pass. So on that law of attraction thing, it's like it's the Lord's purpose that's going to prevail. You may have all these attractions that you're trying to get, but scripture-wise, you may have many desires, but the Lord's purpose is going to prevail. So I believe, I know that overrides the law of attraction.
Yeah, but also I would say that first scripture you quoted, just to keep it within the context, I think that if you delight in the Lord, it means that literally the Lord's going to reconstruct your own will to want the things of Him.
Right.
So it's not like,
I didn't say that. Like, place His desires in your heart.
Yeah, so His desires will become your desires. Your desires go away, and then before you know it, you're getting what you want because you literally want what the Lord wants.
Right.
It's a transformation from the heart, mind, and then outwardly.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's very selfless too. Like even what she's doing, she's serving other people essentially.
Yeah, and it is. When she's having a good time doing it too.
But there's nothing wrong with it. It should be joy in that. We should find joy in everything we do.
That's amazing. So you're gonna be flight attendant too then?
No. So I was telling you guys before the podcast started that right now I'm going to get my life insurance certification to be able to sell life insurance. So that is currently what I'm doing. But my goal has always been financial freedom, and the Lord is putting it in my heart to achieve that for my family so that I can leave an inheritance. And so like life insurance is like leaving an inheritance. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's like ultimately something that is like my number one goal is to make sure that I leave my kids with an inheritance.
So how will this allow you to better leave your kids with an inheritance?
So for example, like right now I work a 9 to 5. And so no matter how hard I work or how hard I don't work, I'm capped out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can only make a certain,
make.
a certain amount of money. So being in business, sales, as hard as you work is how
commission.
much you. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so that's what I want to do. I want to be able to have a higher ceiling for earning.
Word. No, that's great. So when you say life insurance, are you going to a company that sells, or are you like
I'll be independent.
You're an independent person.
Yeah. Well, that's what.
So which insurance are you pushing?
So it would be life insurance, but it would be independent. So I'll be working with the people who issue the life insurance.
Oh, so you're like a third party salesman kind of, right?
It's actually going to be the second party. So I'll be I'd have to purchase my own leads. So compared to like if I work for like Geico, they put all their money into advertisement. So they're like a name, you know what I'm saying? Geico's like, you know, like the Gap or like Old Navy or Gucci or something, like, you know, they have a big name, so it sells itself. You see what I'm saying? Compared to being like independent, you have to make these.
Wow, so it is an investment. So you got so that's why you're putting so much, like, there's a lot of weight when you talk. I feel like, because it's not just like, let me just, you know, Geico name, Geico's paying for all this, you're paying for your leads.
So that essentially, to be independent, you have to get leads. So I could go door to door. I could go to every family cookout and run down all my aunts and uncles, and so I was talking.
That's not a bad idea, anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't want to ruin those type of relationships. So essentially, what happens is you buy leads, and when you buy like the highest lead is called like a Facebook lead, and you buy these leads for $20 a lead, and so the leads are people that had just inquired about life insurance. So the good thing about Facebook leads and why there's so much money is because the people have just inquired about it. You see what I'm saying? Because technology is a ABC process compared to paper. It takes a lot longer. You know what I'm saying? And
so could you go into like some more of that inquiring stuff? Is this like Facebook algorithms keeping people's information, and that's what you buy?
So it's all. I'm not really sure how they gather the information and stuff like that, but that's all of that. So I mean, just imagine you set up an app where when people inquire about life insurance, you can sell it for $20 a pop. You know what I'm saying? Like they're
so
making.
If they go by inquiry, you mean like maybe Google it or
just
search it on Facebook.
To be honest with you, I'm not really sure how the leads work like that.
Okay,
but I know that the people have inquired about it, but that's why. Allstate, Liberty Mutual, Geico, all these major companies, that's why they put all their money into advertisement is for these leads. That's how they get their leads.
You know, Gabe, remember we were looking into what is it, SOR or SO
SEL.
SOR. So SEL. So I'm
Is that memory?
Letters. I'll be on Google looking up like best stage microphone. Like this is like actual stuff. And then I'll go to another app, a buy, sell, and trade app, and the advertisements will be the microphones I was looking up. And on Facebook, the different buy, sell, trade apps and the similar products that I was looking up. So that's how the SELs work. Like they see your history on all these platforms that you're searching.
Man, I feel like it's come to a point where I think about something and I open up my Facebook and it's right there. I'm like, there's no way. That's God. I gotta make this purchase. That's God telling me.
This is good.
I need Get the shoes.
I need this Maserati. I know, think about it my whole life.
That's the faith.
Now what I was gonna say about that is it is interesting how companies are able to sell like data and things like that. So like what you're saying, that with the artificial intelligence and algorithms and in the algorithms, what they'll do is they know what you've been Googling. So when you say that, I just thought about something, they're making a prediction on what's the most possible or plausible thing that you will search next. And then they let that loose, and you're like, "Oh snap!"
That's just so scary to me.
It is.
Like with Amazon, related products.
Yep, just like that. Or
frequently bought together. Like, oh wow, people buy this together. Psh, I might as well add it to my cart.
That is crazy, man. So you were saying, so your wife, that's your wife's situation. My wife, but yeah,
you speak in existence. Go ahead, you speak it into existence. But no, but
I can't wait for that
we
wedding,
have
by the
been
way.
blessed through this whole COVID thing. Like. We really have. I mean, I to the point where
that's what I wanted to ask you
yesterday
about.
I was talking to Timmy and I was like, listen, I want to pay tithes. Like I've been getting blessed so much. Like I just feel the need to pay tithes, but I don't go to a church right now, so I don't even know where I could pay tithes. Like
yeah.
So
you know, there's different ministries that you just go on their website and you can pay them and help them out.
So that's what we're gonna go see Matthias, but you know Timmy's booked for 100 days, 100 nights, but we're gonna go see Matthias, and that was something. I mean, I just feel like we've been.
It's on your heart.
It really is.
Right.
I mean, every setback has had just a door that is just open, and it's just a bigger blessing. So it's like even we were talking about the Lord's will. Maybe it's not in the Lord's will for Tiffany to have this job. And, this setback is going to open a bigger door for us. Because even me looking into the insurance stuff, I was telling Timmy about his potential earlier, but I see Tiffany's potential in this business too. And I'm like, she's beautiful, she's young. Like, these things are selling, points for some people. Like, and I'm like, this would be, and she's smart, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to learn this stuff. And I'm like, I know Tiffany could do laps around me learning this stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just seeing her potential. So every door that has closed, another one has opened, and it has been bigger and better. And I'm just running with it. Is what I'm doing.
Very grateful. That's
that's
beautiful.
awesome. I think we can all say the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, this has been a huge blessing.
Yeah, talking about the coronavirus, right?
Yeah. As far as like same thing with my wife.
Zero
Like, we have more in our savings than we've had in the last 10 years.
I mean, everyone does. I mean, I've never seen.
Man, probably not everyone, but
Oh well.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Shout out to the people who are struggling, man. We feel for you. We hope that this is not like affecting you in a negative way, but we're just
this is our experience.
Yeah, this is our experience.
I agree, but even the thing is, it's even all the pocket watching. People are seeing that that people are getting $600 a week for unemployment and stuff like that, and
pocket watching.
There is a lot of pocket watching right now. Because
explain that. What you mean? I don't know. What that means.
Like I said, if you go on Facebook, if you go on Instagram, if you go on Twitter, you go on these things, you see that people are flexing right now. You know what I'm saying? They have their new outfits, they have their new clothes. It seems like every week is income tax return, literally. Yeah. And so, people that are still working aren't getting that. So they're pocket watching the people that are doing this. They're saying, man, they're buying all these bottles and they're buying all these clothes and they're buying. And you see it. If you go on Facebook, you're going to see the difference. The girls have a new hair color every week. I can't believe it. Like, I'm hating. I said it, all right?
Yeah, you got no hair.
But it's just, you see it. Like, people just have money right now. And, a lot of it comes from the $600 that they're getting for unemployment. And it brings bitterness.
Yeah, that is something, man. We always looking at other people and just coveting their things, man. It's like breaking all types of commandments.
Yeah, it's bondage. It's terrible.
Well, so I want to talk quickly. So this is for those of you who don't know, for those of you who do know, we ended season 1 with 10 episodes. We do 10 episode seasons. It might seem short. I don't know. This is how we're doing it. We're a little different than everybody else. This is our first podcast. So this is our season finale.
Yeah,
man.
man.
To season 2. So we want to just do some quick recaps and highlights and memories we had from season 2. And I want to start it off by just saying, when we first had Miami here, I don't even know if that was season 1 or season 2.
It was season 1.
Was it one?
Was it? Yeah, it was season 1.
Or was it No, it was the
2.
first episode of season 2. I promise you, because Gabe and I had this conversation. I told you, I don't remember everything, but the things I remember, I remember.
He had to write this down. He had to write this down. If it's true, this is a cheat.
I remember
This is a cheat sheet.
But no, you were the premiere, because we were like, what do you call it? We were like, what do you call the first episode of a season? And we're like, premiere, debut, and you were like, Cole, you're the
right.
artistic one.
Good
I'm tired because
bro.
I be listening to these, and I edit them, so I listen to them more than most people.
Gotcha.
Okay, because I listen to it a lot too. That's the only reason
I remember. But,
I don't listen at all, so.
But either way, so you were here at Miami for the premiere of season 2. And now you're here for the finale.
There you go.
Crazy.
I'm here.
The second podcast,
I'm about to drop the knowledge. I know Colton was here last time dropping some stuff, but we about to warm up for real. I'm about to let him know.
What did you think how was your first experience on your podcast? And now how do you feel now? This is your second experience in the finale compared to your first experience in the premiere.
So as Timmy knows, I'm always sending him podcasts with like information, just random. I'm so glad you tolerate me, Timmy. But I'm a huge podcast fan, and there's a lot of benefits to a podcast. So like for this podcast, I feel like I'm hanging out with you guys. Like when it's in,
That's awesome.
I feel like we're on a road trip and we're all just in the car, just just talking, like But like when we were younger, me and Timmy, we had like, ambitions to be entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And we'd always want to talk to millionaires and stuff like that. And in podcasting, you can do that. You can listen to a millionaire, upcoming millionaire. You can, all these big moguls and stuff like that. And you can hear their testimony. You can hear what they're doing weekly, things like that. So that's like the benefits of podcasts to me. And so this was the first podcast I ever did. And I was super, super nervous the first time. And it seemed like you guys were running laps around me. That's how I felt. I was like, man, these guys are just killing it. I don't know what to say.
Nah, man, I appreciate that, bro. That's cool, man. I felt the same way. Like, as far as whenever I have like having Colton on, and you guys on 2 other guys, I'm like, how do I butt in? Do I let him talk? Like, you know, it is interesting, especially the first time. It's interesting trying to learn that curve. And so at first you was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but now you're like, I'm chilling.
Yeah, well, yeah, it feels a lot more comfortable this time than it did last time. But, you know, that's what we're going to talk about today, was that repetition builds mastery. And what are you trying to master right now?
He's going to go in.
That's right. What are you trying to master?
Okay. Repetition. So that's like practice makes perfect, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And so like last week, you guys had some crazy conversations, and that was one of the things I wanted to touch on is, you know,
before you go there, we're not gonna go there yet. We can go there. But Gabe, what do you got? Some memorables from season 2? From
season 2,
I think this current season we're in. What do you got?
Oh, I think like we were just talking about. I feel like the podcast where we had Miami and Colton on was super memorable for me because we were talking about some real things, death and
Kobe. That's
and how
when
we
Kobe
feel
died.
when other people dies. Yep.
Yeah.
Kobe just passed, so we were talking about that. No, it's just, and also just tuning my interview sense. So as we're going more and more, having more people on, learning how to not always just want to rebuttal someone, but actually listen to what they're saying, and once they're done, try to remember key points and then wrestle with those thoughts instead of like just attacking, I'm right, you're wrong, that kind of thing. So I'm learning to listen more, and I think that's awesome.
Listening to respond is what they say. You're listening to respond. You already heard what they're trying to say, and now you're about to tell them why they're wrong before you even get to really get around to what they're trying to say.
Yeah, right. So I've been learning that a lot, and also
it's a great conversational skill
in
life.
It is. And I was gonna say, doing the podcast made me listen to more podcasts, and that's like a big thing in my life now. I literally listen to more podcasts than I do watch movies or listen to music. Well, whenever I'm driving, a podcast goes on.
Yeah. Cleaning too. So my favorite coping skill, as Timmy would know, is cleaning. I clean all day, and so while I'm cleaning, I just
coping or not, it needs to get done. Like when you got kids, it's just a mess all the time.
Dang, I should use it as a. So what do you mean by coping skills?
So it's just if I'm ever stressed out or something's bothering me or I'm anxious, I just start cleaning. I just use that energy to just be productive.
Now, why do you think that is? When did you start doing that?
I'm OCD, so I like things to be like perfect, and it's like a gift and a curse. So like literally in my house, I like it to be as clean as possible. Unfortunately, I live with 3 other people who don't share that same goal.
Well, we gonna pray that out of I start to think my son has OC, whatever, but I'll stop at the D. I'm like, he's obsessive compulsive, and I'm not gonna say it's a disorder. But he's very particular about, he likes things the way he likes them. Yeah. I just leave it at that. I'm like.
Now, why don't you say disorder?
Because I don't think it's a disorder. It's just the way
he
gets it from me, but it's just the way he is. And I don't think it's a disorder sounds negative. And I don't think it's a disorder.
Derogatory. I agree.
Yeah. And I don't want him to look at it like that. I just know he likes what he likes.
Yeah, but I don't agree. I feel like disorder doesn't have to be negative. Why do you look at it as a negative thing?
Because
there's ordered and there's disordered.
Order
not
is
ordered.
What you want. So it's like
the word dis is
not. So like not ordered, disordered.
Well, at least in our cultural context, a disorder is not a good thing.
Yeah.
So as far as I've never in my experience with human services in schools, disorder has a negative connotation. So I was like, I don't want to say my son's OCD, but he likes things the way he likes them, and he's very intent on keeping it that way.
I just look at it. I like things the way I like things. It's just abnormally
more so,
more than the average person. The thing is, one thing Gabe's gonna learn about me is I make up a bunch of words. Like if I hear a word and I think it means something, I just run with it. Like, you know what? I'll tell you, because that's why I listen to the podcast. I hear your words and your definition. I'm like, man, this guy got it together. I didn't even know the word existed.
Expeditiously.
That's
T.I.'s
according to the research that's being done by the. I can't even think of what you would say.
No, you know what? One of my coworkers hates it because I'm always asking when he says something. I'm always like, "Can you give me some like proof or some articles that we can?" Because that's what I'm learning. The more podcasts, especially in Joe Rogan, since he has all these credible sources coming, I'm like, dang. I'm never ever going to just listen to someone. You need to come to me with some kind of facts.
So you're a real big Joe Rogan fan, huh?
Super duper, man. Super duper.
So
especially when he has like physicists on, because that's what I deal with in apologetics. I like Darwinian naturalism. I like finding ways to see that science not only goes with Christianity, but in order for science to exist, Christianity must first be true. Because if you're going to study a universe by ordered things, the universe has to be ordered. In order for it to be ordered, it has to have an orderer. So there has to be a creator.
So you see how important order is? So whenever you see the word disorder, it's derogatory. But
not necessarily. So back to that point, I wanted to clarify, because what I do want to do now that you mentioned it, look into OCD and what do they mean when they frame that up. So what does OCD mean in that context? And why is it OCD? Because another thought that popped into my head was this: are you saying can it be possible that we're not accepting things because we don't want them to be true, rather than wrestling with the truth and accepting it and working towards a better norm? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Because then your son could have more help. But not like I'm saying.
Right.
But that's the thing is I don't need help, and there's nothing that could really help me from stopping my disorder. Like it's just
thing?
That's what I'm saying. It's just the way I am, just abnormally that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like more that way. Like people should want order, but I like really, really want order. Like I want things.
So I feel like that's better, right? Wouldn't that be better?
It is, but it's also a curse, because
unless you're fixated.
Then you're like, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Then you're like tedious about everything, and it can like hold you back. Like, and if something's not perfect, then you feel like it's not worth doing, or it's not worth having, or something like that. So there's like bad things to it. So it could be a disorder. It's like my son, for example. If there is a single seed in a watermelon, he won't eat it, right? Wow. And if I cut the seed out, if he knows it's the same, if he knows it's the same piece of watermelon, even if I cut the seed out, he still won't eat it.
Oh wow!
And so like it's like, okay, it's a good thing that he's like paying attention to these type of things, but for me, it's not at that moment. So that's why it's kind of like looked at as a disorder. Like
yeah.
You know what though?
That's interesting.
It's like we don't do that with everything though. We kind of fixate on what we fixate on. So like I'll see Tim freak out if he sees the black speck in his eggs because he thinks it's pepper and it's spicy, which it is pepper. And I keep forgetting that he don't like pepper.
Oh, dang.
So he sees the black speck. He's like, I don't want to eat this. It's gonna be spicy. But he doesn't fixate on other things. That's a bad example because that automatically makes him think of spicy. But
well, you have a point about what you said about the cultural thing. Because I think it is true. Because if whatever this is, we won't call it a disorder anymore. Whatever this action is, if it's affecting normative behaviors in your life, then I feel like, yeah, maybe we should try to steer or veer away from it, right?
Right. And when you say affecting,
like you said, it could be good. But for example, dude's not going to eat watermelon. Dude's not going to eat eggs anymore. Like what? No, we can't
I'm gonna make him eat them eggs. I'm like, yo, look it, turn it over. Now you can't see that pepper no more.
And it works. It works.
A little bit of force helps.
But
what were you just saying about if it's causing a negative effect, if it's having a negative effect?
Yeah, if it's like, for example, if something causes a person to flip out and ruin their whole mood, then that would be a negative effect, I think, right? Because now he's not calm anymore. He just blew this whole thing out of proportion.
Oh, that's an attitude. That's a little different. That's just how they respond to it. Like I said, like
that's a good point too.
My attitude is to get it done. Like, okay, I'm feeling a certain way. I'm just gonna clean up to help get rid of this energy, and me wanting everything to be neat is something that drives me, and so I just use that to drive me to. It's like right now, everything I'm doing, I'm trying to use this energy to drive my studying, because I'm trying to literally force myself to study because it's something I haven't done in a long time. So I'm studying to get certified, and I'm starting to see, like my will is trying to push my mind to do it, and my mind is like, nah, we're used to doing what we want to do, and now you're over here trying to tell me what to do. Will, you better go back to sleep. And and the body ain't no good either, man. He ain't helping me at all. I'm like, body, come on, man, help the will out. The brain ain't listening, and the body's like, man, we gonna hang out. This is what we do. So
would that be the war?
Christianity in a nutshell.
The war that Paul talks about is like the things I want to do, I don't do, and the things that I don't want to do, I do. Wretched man that I am.
It really is. It's just even so I started running. I'm trying to get not in shape, but I just want to make sure I just
that's good.
So I started running and I talked to my friend. He said, "So what's the first thing to go? Your legs or your lungs?" I said, "To be honest with you, it's my will."
Yeah.
It's not my legs or my lungs.
That's
it's my will.
But
it's literally just thinking like, what are we doing here? Like, and so that's one thing. Like, we were gonna talk about what season we're in, and that's one season I'm in. Is just trying to get order. Like, I'm trying to get the Holy Trinity in order: the mind, the body, and the soul.
Your whole self.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get it in order so that I can just start functioning and start having a little more, control over myself. And so that's the season I'm in right now.
Now, would you say that that's something that you've had out of control your entire life and you're just trying to fix it now?
So that's the thing, is knowing is half the battle. So like half of my life I didn't believe in this, and in having, your body has a nature, your mind has a mind of its own, you know what I'm saying? And your will is just in the middle, just trying to get it going. And so this is something that I didn't know. And then once I knew about it, I didn't have that much conviction in it. But now I'm starting to see it be tangible. Like I said, when I'm running, I feel it. Like my will is weak. When I'm trying to force myself to study, I feel that my will is weak. And the flesh he's benching 450 pounds for 30 reps. Like he's killing it. And and the mind is doing whatever it wants. So it's hard to get a control on these type of things when most of your life you weren't even aware of it. You know what I'm saying?
Word. So you said that you're learning. Where do you go to learn this kind of stuff?
Where do I go to learn this type of
where
stuff?
are you getting your information from?
So you don't want to know. I got so much bootleg information. It's crazy. All right. So just disclaimer.
Illuminati.org.
I literally, but that's the thing. Like, I know that like, we have to be like super, super like scriptural when it comes to like proving things and like, but for me, I like to like use my imagination. And like when I hear like people do sermons and stuff like that, like I just start like trying to see like where they're going with things and stuff like that. So like, but I find most of the time I get my own interpretation of what they were preaching. And it's like, like it's a gift and it's a curse. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it from like, pastors like Miles Monroe, like Matthias.
I like Miles Monroe.
I love Miles Monroe. He definitely...
He was kind of the first pastor that I followed, that I consumed.
Yeah. Me too. In the car, my mom used to play him on the radio, and I was like, "Who's this guy?"
Your mom has good taste, because in my perspective, because she likes Miles Monroe, she likes Chuck Smith. I like Miles Monroe. I like Chuck Smith. Two of my favorite pastors.
I like T.D. Jakes. I love T.D. Jakes.
Jakes,
I like
Potter's House.
Yeah, it's because. It's hard, like, when you're in the world and you don't know anything about the spiritual realm, like, it just, it really is what movies take after. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen the movie The Matrix? The movie The Matrix is pretty much about the Bible. There's a seen world and there's an unseen world, and the things in the unseen world are trying to control what's on the scene. You see what I'm saying? You remember?
Spiritual warfare.
So that's how it was. Like, and when Keanu Reeves discovers this, it's like so unreal that he can't tell anyone about it. You know what I'm saying? So like that's how it was for me. Like when I first had gotten saved, it was so real that it's like I wanted to tell everyone about it. And what happened is I alienated people because they're like, this guy's crazy. He believes in demons and he believes in a spiritual realm. And he's like, because it really does seem like just...
the Bible says it. The things of the spirit are foolish to the natural mind. So that stuff is foolish to people.
But any movie that you see, it's pretty much these type of narratives. You know what I'm saying? It's if you're gonna make something that you want to last forever, you're gonna take the thing that literally has lasted forever, and that's the Bible. So they're taking stories from the Bible. So when you see The Matrix, it's just like that. There's things on the unseen, demons, the devil, things like that, and they're literally, and that's one thing that people that believe, atheists and stuff, what they don't know is that they have an adversary. They have someone that is doing everything in their power, in their kingdoms, to bring them down.
Or bring them up in a manner that they don't need God anymore.
People don't think that the devil can bless them. The devil tried to bless Jesus with everything he had. Everything he had. So when you see people up, you might think they're blessed, but you don't know where that blessing's coming from. And that even goes for me. I think
that's a good point.
And that's why it's important to pay tithes. And that's why I feel like, you know what, if I'm being blessed, I don't know where it's coming from, at least I know where it's going back to. And that's how I feel like. I just want to make sure that I pay tithes. Like, it's something that's in my heart right now.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find a church, and right now it's impossible to go to church. So it's like,
what you doing on Sunday, good brother?
There you go.
It's not even church. We just got a community outing.
Yeah.
It just reminded me.
Homecoming.
I would like to invite you.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a community outing.
Did you
on
get
Sunday.
your tickets yet?
I registered today.
So help him register. Yeah.
I registered for 3 people, and my thought behind that was, if the kids don't count, bet I got 2 more spots.
Okay,
Because the kids are
Trish ain't gonna make it.
Tristan's working this
So
weekend.
there you go, Miami. What you doing
Let's
this Sunday?
do it.
son?
Let's do it.
Come with me.
When Timmy had first got like fully converted,
Well, I got a story too. Keep going with that.
so he wanted to go like door knocking, like yeah, we about
Straight
to.
up Mormon with it.
Yeah, nah, he wasn't
Okay.
playing around. So
Jehovah's Witness.
Matthias wound up being in town.
It wasn't me. It was Matthias. That was Matthias' idea, and we did go door knocking pretty much.
Yeah,
in the
no, we
in the
did.
projects in
And so,
Crystal.
but we wound up doing it in New London. And so, I have a reputation in New London that, depending where you're at, whatever, it's a little different. So we wound up going to the projects, literally the projects, and we're
snap.
knocking on these people's doors, and people are opening it, and they're looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm just sitting there, and I wanted to do this so bad, and I'm just sitting there, and I, like I felt judged, like I really did, then to this day, like
You felt judged by the people?
Yeah, I did.
Why? For like showing up at the door?
Like,
early,
so
or?
what happens is like, their parents would open the door and they would look and they would see me, and then like kids that I went to school with would see me and they would be looking like, what are you doing? And like my insecurities of like Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff like that were like plaguing me at the time, and I'm like, and when you
So you was just fresh off the boat knocking on doors. You just got saved.
No,
Boom.
so the thing is, some time had passed because Timmy wasn't like sold. So at this point, this is when Timmy's like 100% sold. So remember, I told you in the beginning,
right.
I was like, I got
Took some
saved.
time.
I'm trying to sell Timmy on being saved and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So some time had passed, and so now Timmy's 100% sold, and we got Matthias in the mix, and they're like, "Yo, we're about to go knock on doors." And I'm like, yeah, well, let's do East Lime. And and Matthias is like, nah, God's put in my heart for us to go to these places. So literally, it was like every other door we knocked at, I knew the person or knew the person's parents. And so I'm like, oh my. And
there you go, man.
And literally, I felt judged.
There you go.
But it also
start in your neighborhood.
Holds you accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can't be in them same places doing the things that you were doing before.
There you go.
Because they just seen you knocking at the door. So
yeah, funny story, man. My father used to be in prison ministries. He'd go from prison to prison preaching, and he said, a lot of people gave their life to Christ. And so he's going in the low road, like he didn't want to know nothing about God, nothing about church. He's sitting at a bar, he's like halfway drunk, and this guy, big old guy, walks over. He's like, yo, where do I know you from? My dad's like, man, you don't know me, man. You don't want to know me. And then he's like, no, I know you from somewhere. And then my dad looks at him. He's like, you were preaching in my cell, blah, 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 blah. And then so like, you know what I mean? So that your story's true. That guy seen my dad preaching, and now he sees him drunk at the bar. Wow. So it's like, who knows? Maybe the guy was like, and
you feel convicted.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
You really do. You're like, but it's what you need. You need to be held accountable for where you're at, where you're gonna go. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to be held accountable. Like
we talk about that a lot on this show, just in general, and not in this show. We talk about that a lot with each other, just holding each other accountable. To an extent, we do that over the years.
And so that's
big,
another
man.
thing.
Every day's a fight.
Yeah, that's another thing I get from the podcast. And you guys always talk about like correction and stuff like that, but you need fellowship. You know what I'm saying? Like to do
Big
these
time.
type of things, you need to.
There you go.
You need a fellowship. It's like last week you guys had the conversation about masturbating. And it's like, it was deep. It was real deep. You guys
that one.
It wasn't shallow.
And it was, but those are things that you have to like, for example, what do you do when you get those urges? You know what I'm saying? And fellowshipping is something that you can do. You can talk to somebody about these problems that you're having, these urges that you're having. It's not like, we're not like Catholics where we're sitting down in the confession booth and it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Father,
like,
forgive me.
Yeah, Father, forgive me. Like, we're not going straight to the source, but you
him.
have to talk about these problems. And hearing the podcast last week, everything that you guys went through, everything that you guys described is something that I went through.
Yeah, man, you're right. It's such a valid point that you're pointing out. We did talk about it on the last podcast we did, but it's important to touch it up. It's important to touch up on it with Isaiah. Yeah,
Yep.
shout out to Isaiah. But I definitely want to encourage everybody to talk about those deep, dark things that you're going through, because the reason that you're going through them is so you can relate to another saint, another Christian who's going through it. You know what I mean? Especially like with depression, suicide, like people are really going through that thing. And I don't mean to signal those things out, because I feel like anything that you're ashamed of matters. So I feel like it's important to bring it up, even if it's small in your own eyes. Bring it out, because like you said, it helped you.
Yeah,
It helped you really work with those things.
You know, anything you keep in the dark is just gonna keep getting darker. You know what I'm saying? You have to bring things out in the light, and that's what we have to do. We have to talk about these things that plague us. And that's what I was talking about. When I had gotten saved, I just turned around. I just repented. I went all out. I just wanted to change my life. And when I did that, cutting certain things off was a lot harder than others. And so like porn, I couldn't believe it, was one of the hardest, if not top 5, definitely top 5 things that I was like, all right, I just can't do it. And I was already like against it. Like, and it was something that had plagued me. Like, I couldn't just get rid of it.
So you were against it because of your newfound faith?
No, I was like I said, like I never was really into that type of stuff anyway, but it's something that I would do, like not every day. I wasn't like on it, but it was something that I did do. And when I had see the one of the problems with pornography is how it stimulates you. You see what I'm saying? It makes you overstimulated for sex, because the visuals that you have are abnormal. So you're gonna malfunction. You see what I'm saying? You're literally overdriving the brain with just so much sexual stimulation that virtual reality, your real life, will never be the same. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as we talked about earlier, repetition builds mastery. So what are you mastering? You're mastering sexual pleasure, how to sexually please yourself. It's going to be impossible for anyone else or any other thing to do it, because you've done it so much. I know people did it 3-4 times a day. Can't think of anyone in this room. But that's what I'm saying. You don't know what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? You're abusing this.
Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah. I think that because in this just self-feeding culture that we're in right now, it's so much it's to the point where that thing is normalized.
Yes.
Right. Not only is it normalized, but it's looked at as the right thing to do.
Right.
To the point where I was having a conversation with my coworkers. They were like, "You're gonna what? You tell me the Bible says it's bad to masturbate?" And I'm like, "Well, listen, let's not even talk about the Bible, but let's talk about, if you're talking about the release and what science says about those endorphins going off and those chemicals, that it is good for the body, sure. But what I'm talking about is when you connect lust to it, and when you connect the visuals that you're talking about,
right?
That when you get to it with your lady, you're like, dang, she's not the one that I've seen in the videos for the past 30 years of my life. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I agree that it's a serious problem, and it's normalized, and it's actually sought after.
And you know, there's no limitation to perversion. And that's the thing, is that it might start off soft porn, and then it just there will be no limitation. You'll need more and more of it. It'll have to get crazier and crazier for you to be aroused. See what I'm saying? And so it's just building and building and building, and your stimulation is just out the door. You know what I'm saying? It's just it disconnects you from reality. Is what it's doing.
And right now, there are studies going on. I can't name them, but there are studies that I just heard on the Joe Rogan podcast. This lady, she's a sexologist, and she said that there are some studies that show that pedophiles, they started by softcore porn use, and then little by little, whether it's bestiality or just tune porn, things like that, it turned into child pornography, and then it turned into them going out and trying to get victims.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no limitation to perversion. That's what I'm telling you, that, you know, based on mental illness and trauma and things like this, it can times it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever is going on, like there's just, it's just bad all around, right, Timmy?
Terrible. I'll give you. I'll give you.
He's
some,
deleting all his history now.
deleting my web browser history. Nah, that blows my mind. Like, so I want to take it to. I want to relate it to the youth because I worked with the youth and I was a youth at one point. There's kids who would just sit in the bathroom at school with their phones out, jerking off.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, masturbating, if that's more politically correct. But yeah.
Jerking off left and right.
Jerking right.
Wow, that's crazy. So you would catch them?
I wouldn't catch, but like
some people
it's known, like you get in trouble for detention. Obviously, the story flies quickly, at least among staff. Like, yo, so-and-so was freaking masturbating in the bathroom, watching videos. That's where he was for the last 20 minutes.
Wow.
So that's how it is today. So it's right on your phone, at your fingertips. But for me, it's crazy how the mind works and how all this is all media too. What you're receiving is this, it's all on the internet, it's visual. And so I would consume porn and just all different just videos and files and forms of it, and just, you know, I would get my favorite videos. Like, I would get all my favorite scenarios and whatever. So like all my go-tos. So I had that. I knew exactly what I wanted. Boom. And then I was starting to listen to certain music. I remember it was The Weeknd, and all his music was just hypersexual, like crazy. If you actually, and at the time I didn't really peep it, but I enjoyed it and embraced it. And like that's what I wanted to consume. And it was turning me into this like this demon of an individual who wanted to, like, now, all right, I'm seeing it in my pornography videos. I'm listening to it in the music. Oh, that's how he's doing it, blah, blah, blah. So, all right, bet. This is how I'm going to play my life out. So now I'm trying to turn my life into what I'm seeing in these visuals, what I'm hearing in these songs. I'm like trying to turn myself into this character that The Weeknd may or may not be this guy who's going through all these different women, but he's singing about it. So like I'm like glorifying it and trying to recreate what I'm seeing in the videos, trying to act like this person I'm listening to. And it was just a terrible way to approach women. But that was like my mindset. And the crazy thing is that I didn't think it was, I guess I really didn't think it was bad. And if I got an inclination that it was what I was doing to somebody was wrong, or how I was thinking and behaving was wrong, I would just dismiss it. I would like tuck it away. If God gave me any type of inclination, like, yo, what are you doing right now? I would just tuck it away immediately, just to justify it in my own brain. And that's how I would continue to sin. So
what was the moment where you realized or started to realize that is bad?
It took a lot. I want to say it's the Holy Spirit, because 2015, 2016, I got saved. I made like a fleshly decision, because I had like all these fleshly standards. One of them was like, yo, you can't be messing with girls when your girl's pregnant, because it's gonna jinx the baby. So this is like, is that biblical? No. Got that from, I'm not even gonna say who. Got that from somebody else in the world. Another fleshly thing is like, I bet as soon as I get, this is a good one, but as soon as I get married, everybody else gotta be cut off. So, but it was fortunately around the time I got married was the time I got saved. But the sanctification came, immediately after I'm getting saved. It's little by little. So
it's a process.
Right. So at first it was my decision, like, all right, I'm married. I can't be messing with no girls. It's not like it's a sin against God. It's like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm married, so I can't sin no more. I got to stop. But God and the sanctification from the Holy Spirit was what really made it real, to the point where like, yo, stop even fantasizing about this girl. Stop thinking about this girl. Stop even flirting with the idea that you can do it, because you could. It's still very accessible. But I got to dismiss that thought even quicker and firmer than I used to. Like now it's like, yo, I can't entertain that at all, because I'll go there.
So that's some of the problems with the consumption, is that it gets locked into your subconscious. So when you're not even thinking about it, you're thinking about it. So when you're listening to music, that's the thing about music, is that music plays on the subconscious without your permission. You see what I'm saying? So you listen to a song and you didn't give it permission to make you sad, but you're feeling sad. You listen to a song, you didn't give it permission to make you happy, and it makes you happy. You listen to a song, you didn't give it permission to make you motivated, it makes you motivated. So that's the thing, that's your subconscious. That's why when you see symbolism, or you hear these music, these lyrics, that's why Cardi B is going hard right now, because she's going after your subconscious. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
That's what happens. As soon as you hear mom's car start up and she leaves. You look outside, she's gone. No one's in the house. Guess what's playing in your subconscious? You got that demon.
Was the thought. That was the thought process, man.
And it's Gabe. So one of the things like I always visualize, right, is like, what is like the titans of like our lives? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ever like Greek mythology, they always had the titans and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, so before Christ, the titan was sin, but sin was like very tangible for them. You see what I'm saying? Compared to like now, sin, we're just slaves to sin. You see what I'm saying?
Wait, what do you? Sorry, you lost me. You lost me at Titans.
About the Titans. So like our Titans today are our emotions. You see what I'm saying? How you're feeling. So like when you're feeling horny, it's a demon that is a Titan that is going to attack you. You see what I'm saying? Like the attack your weaknesses. You see what I'm saying?
You're saying a Titan would be like
is your emotions. Like when
you're saying a Titan is
it's like a monster that you can't overcome.
Large battle,
like,
a large obstacle.
So like that's how like when like my biggest titan is like when I feel horny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm vulnerable to do something that is, you know what I'm saying, and it's through sin. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, not yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, or like when I'm angry, like my when I'm confused, a titan that I deal with is anger. Like if you know what I'm saying, or like when I was younger, like when I didn't know what to do, I would just get angry. Like that would be the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've never, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I hear some of the other ones where you talking about like being sad and stuff. It was a titan that you had to deal with. That's not something, I'm never ever sad. So it's like something I don't have to battle with. But anger is something that I had to, like in my life, a titan was anger. Like I had to go against that. Like that's how I looked at it. And then you see what I'm saying? Like, and so that's like when I was out in the world doing whatever I was doing, when I would feel horny, it was something that made me vulnerable to just sin. I would just I would just like give into it. Like I had no like I didn't feel like what I was doing was wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that is interesting. So you said that when you first got saved, things were easier. So was anger easier to get rid of than porn, or are they, or at least lust? We'll call it lust.
No, I still battle with anger.
Still dealing with both
day.
These things.
Yeah, I still battle. So the thing is, I am very emotional. So that's like my titan. Like the battle that I go against is my emotions. Like, so I'm very emotional. So like when I get sad, I would get angry. Like compared to people that get sad, they get like into like a deep sorrow. Like, but not me. I'll get into anger. So if I get sad, it's anger. Like if I get like any emotion that's negative when I was younger would turn into anger.
Wow. And you said confused. Can you open up a little more about that? Because
that's the thing is that, you know, a lot of times when you see behaviors, they come from confusion. The people don't know what to do. And, you know, and there's good emotions that you can have. I could be so happy that something happened to me. I don't know how to react to it that I cry. Like that's a great reaction to have from an emotion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But mine is the opposite. Like when I you know, if I get confused or if I feel played or if like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I feel disrespected, like the emotion I go to is anger.
Straight away. Wow. And you don't even have to think about it, just like a switch.
It's my subconscious. It's the way that, so later on.
So music could definitely pervert that. You're right.
Oh my God.
I was going to say,
deep,
can you?
Know what I mean?
No one was worse than 50. When 50 first came, I'm telling you, I was like, I just felt like the darkest, like, I was like, man, who, like you said, who won it?
Who would? I'm trying to think of this song, but I don't even want to think of it. But can you think of an experience, the youngest experience that you had with that, where you felt confused, which turned quickly into anger? Because to me, that reminds me of school. Like, I can think of moments where I'm like feeling confused and all eyes are on me, and I start to feel self-conscious, and that just turns into like defense mode. Like now I'm angry at everybody because I feel like people are playing me or something.
I think like you know, I think like when you see it in your kids, like, you know, like when they're young, they don't know what to do, so they cry. You see what I'm saying? And then they're crying can sometimes turn into like anger, and they could like, you know, so like that's like where it started with me, is that I would cry, and then like my crying would just turn into like I just have to like unleash or something, like
spazzing out.
Yeah. So
you can remember that being a youngin'?
Yeah, I can. And I could also remember the first time I went to a funeral and I seen everyone crying and I wasn't crying, and I thought to myself, why is everybody crying? And then I thought to myself, it's because they don't know how to feel. They don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know how, you know, especially when it's young people. When older people die, it's like, all right, you know, they had their run, da-da-da. But this was like a young funeral that I went to.
And you were young.
Yeah,
I
was super young.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll never forget funerals. Every funeral that I went to, I remember my emotions. Like I remember like seeing how people reacted. Like I'll never forget the first funeral I went to. Like before they closed the casket, like it was like a Spanish funeral because you know the Spanish people don't play around. They literally were trying to get into the casket with the like I'll never like as a kid I was like traumatized from it. I'll never forget like this. I used to think that flowers smelled like dead people. Tough. Because when I went to the funeral, the smell of flowers, I was like, is that the smell of the dead person? I was a little kid, you know what I'm saying?
It's interesting how you would think like that.
Well, they also say that the aroma of death is sweet. They said that you know that you were next to a concentration camp because the sweet smell of death.
Dang.
No, I can see that because, like I said, when
that embodied body though is not sweet.
Yeah, it gets real nasty real quickly. Funky. But like. I remember like my when my dog died when I was younger, he got ran over and my mom like put him in the basement until she can get back from work and cremate him. Mm-hmm. But I remember there was a sweet smell.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Yep. It smells sweet. It's like this.
Well, it's almost like scary, kind of like. I mean, to me that sounds kind of creepy.
It is like a little
it's
creepy.
Sweet, and when you hear it, smell that sweet smell, it sounds eerie to me. It sounds like "Are You Afraid of the Dark" type stuff.
Yeah, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
So
no,
but
sometimes
that's the thing that death is the one thing that when people think about, they just I feel like when I was younger, I used to be like super scared of death. Like to the point where
about that.
I literally went into like a depression where I was like afraid that I was just gonna lose. Like I was like to the point where I was like, man, I hope I die before anyone else around me dies. Like I just don't want to deal with like.
Oh wow.
Like that's how I felt. Like because I was like losing my sisters or my mom. Like I was like,
can't
man,
even think about it.
Yeah. So like when I was younger, I went into like a super dark depression, like thinking about death all the time. Like I was like, and it was after my grandmother's funeral.
Wow. Did you know it was depression back then, or now looking back, you're like, yeah, I was depressed?
Nah, I knew because the thing is, I was a super happy kid. Like I said, like anger is just something that I display sometimes. Most of the time, I'm like super happy, but I remember like just not being able to be happy because I was so scared.
Oh wow!
Like I was just, it was just terrible. It took a long time to get out of it too.
I remember my. No, that's crazy. It's crazy that these are the vivid things that we remember from childhood, because like a lot of things just get blanked out. Even things that were great, like great experiences. Like I don't remember that at all, but we remember things like that. But I remember half of a funeral, and my mom remembered recently and told me about the other half. So the half I remembered was my mom's dad's dad, so my great grandpa. He was like 94 when he passed, and I remember being like thigh high on my mom, just holding on to her. And just I remember like everyone's mourning and it was quiet and whatever. And I just remember being short and not really being able to see. And all I seen was just people wearing black and that feeling of just like quiet and sadness. It wasn't like people weren't out there wailing and causing a scene. So it wasn't like traumatic, but I just remember the atmosphere.
Yeah, there was
what I felt.
Oh no, sorry.
Well, the other half, just real quick, is so that's all I remember. My mom was like, yeah, at his funeral, like, you were so fascinated. She told me this like 3 weeks ago. She's like, you were so fascinated by the body when they lowered the body into the ground, and I was just like lingering, like looking, like fascinated. Like this is when people leave, and I'm just over there just looking.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what I was thinking because I don't remember.
So that's the thing, right? So when we were younger, we'd have to wonder about what a lot of things look like. You know what I'm saying? I remember like when I was younger watching clips of like gang fights and stuff like that. Nowadays, the youth are going on social media and they're seeing people being killed. They're seeing dead bodies. Like these are things I didn't know about till like way later. You know what I'm saying? Like just wonder, like, I mean, I wonder what a dead body looks like. I wonder, like, you know, you go on social media, you see this, people getting shot. Like,
just, very graphic.
So it's like, imagine what these kids have to deal with as far as, like I said, stimulation, like just taking all this stuff in and trying to figure it out. Because going to the first funeral, that was like life changing for me. Like that's when you're presented with death. And like I said, last time I was here in the podcast, distraction has a good benefit. And that's that we don't think about death all the time. But when you're at a funeral and you see it's the end of the road for your young friend that you went to school with, or you're at you're at a funeral and you're there with someone that, you know what I'm saying, that had so much life, so much promise, and it's done, you really start questioning life. You know what I'm saying? It's like the distraction of death is no longer there. It's tangible. You see that it's real, like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And I feel like a lot of, just to bring it back to just like cultural norms, I feel like, and like the demon world, enemy world, I feel like it's all these kind of things. Like when you think about death and things calm down around you, you really start to think about death and like the fragility of your life and how one day like you will be gone, and then that's eternal. That you can't come back.
That's the part that used to be real scary.
Yeah, but I feel like all this stuff in our culture, like new phones, new cars, the next thing, the self, going up the ladder of success, all these things like
current events.
I feel like these things the enemy purposely puts in your mind so that you forget that, listen, I have a soul and it's eternal. And it's like you don't even think about God. So you don't have time to.
So that's how I touched this on earlier. But for my atheist friends, it's like the one thing I just tell them all the time. Like the one thing I just want you to know is that you have an adversary. Like that is so important for everybody to know. Is that you have an adversary. You actually have an enemy. Someone that despises you for who you are, for your inheritance, for what you could be. They despise you, and they're doing everything they can at all times to make sure that you're never a son to your father's never a father to you as a son. You know what I'm saying? Like you will never ever be able to live in the moment. That is the devil's ultimate goal, is to make sure you never enjoy this second the way you think you're going to enjoy the next one, or the way you couldn't enjoy the one that you just had. You see what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I tell all my friends. I'll say, listen, okay, you don't have to be saved. You don't have to believe in Jesus, but believe that there is an enemy that is doing everything in his power at all times, 24 hours a day, to destroy you, to destroy your family. And it's hard to believe that when you don't believe in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Gabe, I was going to ask you, because you're in apologetics. Do you hear, see, or have you experienced people who claim to be atheists that still talk about the devil or demonic forces or anything of that nature? Because it sounds contradictory. Like, I don't believe in God, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, they talk about evil, and they talk about good and bad and these kinds of things. And some even will say, "Oh, thank God," or "It's a blessing."
I know, right?
And like they're borrowing from the Christian worldview 24/7. They don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like in your world, in your atheistic worldview, especially if you're a naturalist or you're like a Darwinian naturalist, you literally can't speak without borrowing from the Christian worldview. So when you talk about like something's evil, well, why is it evil? Why is it wrong for that person to kill somebody?
Right.
In your worldview, we're just bags of protoplasm, and we could do that to
where does the sense of righteousness come from?
Yeah,
is what you asked. Where does
what
the
is
sense
good?
Of righteousness, and then that's the thing is like in the beginning is you want to know who are you, where'd you come from, what are your abilities, but at the end is where you're gonna go. At the end of the day is where are you gonna go? And if that doesn't scare you when you think about your family and your loved ones and where they're gonna go, these things start to plague you. And if you don't have conviction, if you don't have God, if you don't know, you're gonna malfunction. You're going to come up with every excuse known to man. There's a Big Bang Theory. Something came from nothing. There's no such thing as something that came from nothing. That's impossible. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point. Yep. Man. The foremost scientists and theoretical physicists will say that. But then there's something called new atheism, where you have like Lawrence Krauss, and they say, well, nothing really isn't nothing. And so, but then they start to make things that are just completely out of logic.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense.
That's the stuff
and they make assertions that like, what are you talking about?
Right. That's the stuff that blows my mind. It's like between that and what you said, Miami, what you just said, Gabe, and what you said, Miami, it's like people create up these own realities in their own mind. Like how can you create your own standard of righteousness or your own theory on what life is all about? Like,
or the law of love.
Like you just made yourself, you're God now. Like,
then they'll blame society for these things. They'll say, they're societal structures, but it's not true, because you're talking about objective truths, objective moralities, not this kind of postmodern, like it's okay for me to do it, but in Miami land they rock that way. It doesn't just doesn't work, because we all know that there are certain things that shouldn't be done.
Right.
There are outliers in cases of sociopaths and psychopaths, but for the most part, we're pretty in tune with don't rape babies.
But that's why it's important to believe in something. If not, you'll believe in anything. And so, like, you know, when I look back,
that's true.
At my young ages, from 18 to 25, I would have believed in anything. You know, aliens. I remember when Ancient Aliens came out and stuff like that. I was all about it. You know what? They're right. They got it down.
They got it down.
Ancient astronauts. Yeah.
Like, but we pull from everything. We're here. It's not like we're born with these thoughts. It's like we're watching movies, we're seeing media, listening to people, like all these ideas, and we're like, and we just piece it together. Like, this is what life's all about.
It's like
in my eyes,
you are what you think you are. You really are that. Like, you know, people truly believe that we've come from monkeys. Like, you just are what you think you are. Like, and you just gotta be careful what you consume. You gotta be careful with the sources that. No,
that is true. There's an apologist today. I forget his name. He's a Christian apologist now, where he grew up an atheist, and that is what he says that's what led him to murder his dad with a hammer. He did it at an age that they couldn't prosecute him. So he went. I think he did like 17 years in like juvie, things like that.
Wow.
But now he's a Christian apologist. So what Christ can do to the heart. Jeez. But he said like that's the reason. He was like, one day I was sitting and I'm like, well, I came from fish and then apes, and so why can't I just kill my dad? And then he killed his dad. And then
was he mad at his dad?
It was something petty, but yeah, he ended up killing his dad and then bashing him.
How he was able to think nothing of it.
Yeah, and he was like, that's why I did it. I was like, well, we're nothing, so who cares if I do it? So he took, like you said, you are what you are. He took that to its furthest possible conclusion. He took atheism to its furthest possible conclusion, and that's what he got.
Wow. Well, that's the thing about Genesis. Like, in Genesis, it just shows all of the wickedness in the way people act. Like, you know, that's what Abel did. Cain killed Abel. Cain killed Abel. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when you sin, you malfunction, and there's no limitation to sin. There's no limitation to sin, to sexual perversion, to murder, to violence. Like, there's no limitation because of your enemy. He's going to make sure that you cultivate all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then we're talking about like gradual outcomes. Like, at first, his offering's not great. He curses his brother, kills his brother, and not only does he kill that relationship, but when God asks him about it, he kills that relationship. He's like, what am I, my brother's keeper? Leave me alone. So like that gradual degradation of life.
Yes.
Yeah, you have great points.
Let me read this small passage from James and see if it triggers any thoughts based on what because it came to my mind, came to my heart, and I want to see if it triggers anything around what we are just saying. So, James chapter 1 verse 11 through 15. So he says, "For no sooner has the sun risen with a burning heat than it withers the grass. Its flower falls and its beautiful appearance perishes. So the rich man also will fade away in his pursuits." That's not where I wanted to start. Verse 12 is where I wanted to start. "Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed." And the last verse, "Then when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death."
That's deep.
So, what I was thinking of is sin when it's full grown, it brings forth death. And all I could think about throughout this episode was, it's like we start off with these little desires. So I was thinking of the pornography thing. It's like we start off with maybe softcore porn, or we're first exposed. For me, it was pictures, images. When downloading it on my computer, which took forever. Magazines. So it's like starts off here, then it turns into this form. Then you start listening to the music. Then you're starting to experience with different women, and it just grows and grows. And that could have very well led to some form of death. maybe spiritual separation
Absolutely,
from God,
because you're still alive. You're still alive, and that's
sin. Just to finish the thought, it could. I mean, sin for sure. So that death, that spiritual death, but also like I could have got somebody pregnant, and we could have been like, let's have an abortion. That's a physical death. Like, man, all this led up to that, and that's an extreme, but it's also a reality.
Yeah, I agree. Same
or
thing
even
with
dying from gonorrhea, which is like a 1930s thing that you could die from. Now they got cures, but
clap out there, you know.
Right. It's still a thing, but dying from it is rare.
I'm talking about thievery too. Like I used to love taking little things from Walmart, man.
Talk about it.
You know, you're about to get cuffed up after this episode, but
10 year
statute of limitations. You know what I'm saying? It was like 30 years ago. No, so but it became like it started with candy with mom. You know, Mom, give me this candy. Nah, I'm not gonna get you that. And then take the candy. That's why I was shocked that you let Tim eat the candy, because I stole it, got home.
The next day I let him eat it.
And it was I got home and I ate the candy, and I felt guilty. But as I'm eating more and more of the candy, I'm like, oh, I could get free candy now. And so whether it's the next day or not, they know parents are going to yell at me today, but tomorrow I'm eating candy. Right. But anyway, so like that turned into toys, and then that turned into little things and bigger things. And before you knew it, I was like, did I ever get caught? I don't know if I ever got caught, or maybe my mom caught me. Something made me stop, but it kept growing and growing. Oh, you know what? It was my mother, my brother and I, we took a fishing pole. And then we're going to the car, and then all of a sudden, like these cops come over, like they arrest my mom. They're like, "We know you took the fishing pole, man." Blah blah blah. And we seen our mom get arrested, and we're like, "Damn, maybe we shouldn't be doing this."
Sheesh. So that was the stopping point.
Read that that verse again. Don't read the whole thing, but just towards
the last one was, then when desire. So mind you, he says, each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death.
So in my opinion, like I said, I'm the least qualified in this room, but it's the whole thing. The whole Bible is about the relationship with God. You see what I'm saying? So what it's saying is, at first, if you give into it, you see what I'm saying, you could still repent. But once you're full blown into it, once you've committed to the sin, once you're full blown, the relationship with God will be cut off because of the sin. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's saying. Like the death is the relationship with you and the Father, because that's one thing that I have experienced with my relationship. Because when me and Timmy both got saved, we used to negotiate with God. We used to always say, all right, well, we're going to be saved, but this is one thing that no matter what, we're never going to give up. You see what I'm saying? But
your own standard of righteousness.
But the more you grow, the more you'll be convicted by these things. You'll be like, wait a minute, God has actually put on my heart that is bondage. I'm actually, that's bondage. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what happens is like, you have to get rid of bondage. And that was my biggest part, is that there was things that I could not stop being a slave to. And not only could I not stop being a slave to it, or still have not, I did not want to. You see what I'm saying?
Couldn't let it go.
And that is what bondage is. You are now a slave to sin. Sin is no longer over you the way it was over the Jews. If you believe in Jesus anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like it oppressed them. The law oppressed them. You see what I'm saying? Now the law doesn't oppress you. You see what I'm saying? Because the law is fulfilled. You have the man himself, Jesus, to give you that relationship you need with the Father. So anything that you do to jeopardize that relationship starts to diminish the relationship. You start going back to the feet. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, once you start eating steak, you can't go back to the boob. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like
the
now
meat of the word.
So did I say that? What did I say?
No, you're right. Yeah, the meat of the word.
That's what I'm saying. So
exactly.
That's the thing, is like, one thing that I have found is the more that you sin, that you can't even remember your scriptures. You can't remember scripture. You have no, you know what I'm saying? You have no affiliation with. Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing. That's what dies, because you're sinning and you're still alive. The devil's gonna keep you right where you're at. Like, I'm not worried about him. He's actually content. Start massaging him, please. Complacency, get on that side. Complacency, you see what I'm saying? So it's like,
whole thing. Yeah, that's all in Romans.
You have to guard your relationship with God at all times. Anything that's gonna get in the middle of you and God's relationship, that's gonna break that, is what it's saying. And like, so of course you're gonna be tempted by things. Then you might be tempted to do it. But once you do it, you can still repent, and he's not gonna. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna judge you. But if you keep doing it, and once you're full blown out, it's like, no, at this point you're not repenting. You're just you going in, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to.
It creates a hardness of heart too.
It does.
Right.
It does.
And where you don't even want to be around saved people. You don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to talk to Jesus at the time. Let me get this right myself, and then when I'm gonna come back to you.
We see that. We're seeing that right now in some people we know. It's like,
yeah.
Well, it's an everyday battle. It's
you
not
lose,
just them,
you lose
it's
your
us.
first love.
Right. It's not. It's possible with all of us.
It's every day. It's what the devil is after every day. It's to separate that communion, to separate me and Timmy's communion, because it's easier to get me. You see, at my job dealing with the kids, the same thing. One-on-one is the best way to do it. See what I'm saying? So it's this when you're the most vulnerable. So it's like he has to separate you from the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, so he could get you one-on-one. And when the devil has you one-on-one, he's about to have some fun. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to stay together. That's why it's important to fellowship. Even in street mentality, in the street culture, they understand the power of number. You know what I'm saying? There's power in numbers. Like you have to stay together. That's why I respect Jehovah's Witnesses. They hold each other accountable. I'm not saying that there's not something wrong with them, but they hold each other accountable. Literally.
Let's talk about it.
No, you're right, man. And the same thing, gang culture, whatever it is. If you have enough people, prison riots, just like overthrowing of government, if you have enough people moving in accord, then yeah, man, it's a force to be reckoned with. So you're right. I feel like Christians should want to be together, and if you don't want to be around the flock, the spirit in me is not going to hate the spirit in you. So that means I don't got the spirit in me. So you're right. You're growing cold. You're losing your first love. You don't even want to pray no more. You don't forget about reading. You'd rather just throw on something else.
Facts.
You're right.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like I said, the flesh is strong, man. When it comes to reading, my will is, I got to read the same thing like 10 times over again. It's so terrible, I'm telling you.
It's not a bad thing, though. At least you're in it, you know.
If I'm into it, I got to read it at half a time, and I can tell you all about it. But if I actually have to challenge my will, I'm telling you, I'm sitting there reading the same thing 10 times over again.
Meditate on it. But I was not a pleasure read anyway, so it's not like, once upon a time, we're not supposed to just sit down, kick up our feet, and flip the pages, because it's easy to do that. Like, boom, boom, read 2 chapters today. Like,
how much did you hold? Yeah.
Right,
That's what kills me when people tell me, I read the Bible 5 times, front to back. I'm like, well,
man, the worst for me is like, I'll tell you, you read the Bible at all? You reading the Bible at all? Like, yeah, I read that book. Like,
right. Okay.
My biggest thing is when atheists tell me, I read your book. Like, no, you didn't. Read your book.
But you gotta have empathy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I understand it because I was there. So when they tell me that, I'm like, I don't get offended at all. I'm like, I'm more intrigued, and I understand where they're at because I was there. So I just go with it. I'm like, man, just tell me all about the Big Bang. So, and before you know it, they'll just set themselves up.
Tell me all about it.
So in the beginning, there was nothing. I'm like, whoa, that sounds familiar. Hold on now. And then there was a Big Bang. Like, what? Some type of word? And then what was the word? And then everything became something. So things became tangible. Where did I hear this before? Like, I just go with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, just let them see their ways through their explanations, and they'll sound foolish eventually. And
yeah, I hear that. My biggest questions are like, where did you hear that from? How did you come to that conclusion?
That the questions you ask the people, the atheists, right?
Yeah, like let them talk. Where'd you hear that from? Oh, well, how did you come to that conclusion? And then, well, have you considered? And then you give your point. That's like 3 apologetics go-tos.
So one of the good ones,
very practical,
that they get, it would be like, someone that is practical, they'll say, why doesn't God just forgive? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of this? Like, if he's all being, like, why doesn't he just forgive? And you see what I'm saying? And the thing is, we're talking to people that don't operate in principle. And God operates in principle. That's why for the ultimate weapon, he sent us the Prince of Peace. You see what I'm saying? He didn't send us the Prince of War. He sent us the Prince of Peace, because that's what we need. We need peace. See what I'm saying? So, like, that's what we have. We have the Prince of Peace to teach us the principles of peace. Love.
Yeah. But also, to take that point further, if he did just forgive, then he wouldn't be a good judge. And if he's not a good judge, then he's not God. God is the ultimate standard of righteousness, so he can't just forgive. There must be a payment, and that was Christ.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to do a quick round robin, and we can wrap it up with this.
Round robin, what's that?
Round robin.
All these old people terms.
I'm an old head.
Dang.
Young in the Lord, though.
Okay.
Young in the Lord.
Okay.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Praise him.
So, how are you after this season that we're in, this Corona season, or just moving forward? How do you plan to maneuver? Are you staying the same? You don't feel like you need to change anything, or are you going to switch some things up? What does God put on your heart about how you should maneuver moving forward? Who wants to go
Miami,
first?
you first, brother.
So
about this insurance.
I know, right? So if anyone out there is looking for insurance or no, I'm kidding.
But you mentioned it, getting more organized.
Yeah. So that is the thing. It's just not taking every day for granted.
That's good.
And the thing is, they call us a nation of information, but we don't know what to do with it. Like they say, like, you know, us as Americans, we have like so much information. We have so much of it, but we have no wisdom. We don't know how to move on it. You see what I'm saying? We know what to do, but we don't know how to do it. And so that's what I want to do. I want this to be a season of moving, of actually doing things, of manifesting, of like not taking every day for granted and actually applying myself.
It's good.
And I'm starting to see the doors that can open up for me to get to the goals that I want to do. You know, I want to be retired in 10 years, so I'll just speak that into existence.
Hey, 40, whatever, 40 something.
45 is the goal to be retired.
There you
go. What you were saying about not letting every day go to waste. That's a good philosophy, man. I was just speaking to two of my coworkers today, where I was saying, and this is what you're talking about. On another note, we're talking about atheists and other philosophies. You mentioned Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
I think it's very healthy for us to see other worldviews and learn from them, construct off of them. So I was like, man, to really do what I want to do, I would have to get rid of this job. And they're like, well, why would you have to do that? Just hustle here, and then when you're done, hustle there. And so, like, I agree, and I've always felt that way, but it wasn't till they, like, sat me down and gave me, like, a 10-minute lecture where it clicked.
The Jehovah's Witnesses sat you down?
Nah, my two coworkers. He mentioned Miami mentioned the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that he respects them for being thorough.
Their door-to-door,
and they're moving like twos or threes,
and how they keep each other accountable.
Hold each other accountable.
Yeah. So I'm correlating that to that, but so moving forward, and I've had this you know, has been in my thoughts for probably like half a month now. Whereas just same thing like Miami, not letting any day go to waste, learning more, reading the books that I have, not just looking at them pretty on the shelf, studying things, getting deeper, with Messiah, really setting apart time to pray more, to just, you know, step in that loneliness with him, which isn't loneliness, but just for the sake of a metaphor, being alone with God. And also not letting anything stop me from moving forward. Like you say, speak it into existence. But I wouldn't say that. I just say, like, just going for it. You know what I mean? Like, so with the company, like, just why can't I have an Instagram page, or why can't you do insurance? Just study up, do it, hustle, get that knowledge in you. So I'm moving like that now. So I think that's like that next season.
I love it. For me, it's I'm really intentional, as this is like real recent, about this slow and steady growth. So I don't, you know, even if it's a small gain, just embracing it, and like, okay, small gains, small wins, small victories, whatever you want to call it, they all matter. And just to continue in that, like little by little.
I need an ultralight beam.
I need an ultralight beam.
Well, I mean, doesn't mean it can't
whole
be.
Album now.
So it's really, it's not that I don't expect or want like a big gain or whatever. It's just being like intentional. So don't go backwards and don't stay the same. Just get that small growth every day. And that might just be accomplish the things that you know you're supposed to do that day, that you put on your list and set out to do, is doing it. Because not doing it is not going forward. It's like, man, I dropped the ball with that one. So like this slow and steady progress, but also just not rushing life. And that's kind of like the not taking anything for granted. So I'm not rushing. I'm being patient and enjoying each day and enjoying this growth process, like moving forward. And for me, it's been it's not it doesn't come natural. That's why I know it's like from God. It's kind of pruning. Is that the word?
Yeah, pruning. It's uncomfortable to do it.
Yeah, so it's like, man, I want to be anxious or I want to be rushed and move things forward, but it's like, yo, just enjoy this and know that you're making progress anyway. So like, be diligent in these little steps because you're moving forward and appreciate the process. You know, don't get too ahead of yourself. Like, enjoy this ride, but keep moving forward. You know, a big game may very well come. Like, I'm slow and steady. It's like I'm a running back at heart. So running backs, like, we get, boom, 2-yard carry, 3-yard carry, 1-yard carry. That's all positive gains. It's not big, but it adds up. And next thing you know, boom, you hit that hole, you get a 75-yard touchdown. Next thing you know, you ran for 160 yards in that game. Really, it's only like 2 big runs, but those slow gains matter. And you just know that something might pop because you're doing the right thing and making forward progress little by little. I'm glad God gave me that analogy because
I think that's an extremely healthy way to put it. And I think you just like encompassed exactly what we wanted to say. Because I feel like that's exactly, I mean, I can't speak for Miami, but for myself, that's how like my wife and I have decided to take this, like moving forward. That's like we're really talking about like getting, like, you know, getting the house.
Yes.
Like by next April, now we're making moves to get to it. Like my brother, he's into real estate, so he was just putting me on game, like what kind of loan to get.
There you go.
And so that the bank pays for everything you need. What's that?
I say 15-year.
Nah, he's not even. He said, don't do that.
Yeah.
He said, don't do what I did. I'm in a you know, all this and that. But he told me these specialized loans that now that he's getting into the real estate business, he's learning about them. Whereas, like, for example, just put everybody else on game because might as well.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a house, go to, we'll just say a $300,000 neighborhood where houses are going for $300,000. Find the ugliest house going for $150,000.
Yeah.
Get this special loan. I forgot the name of it, but I have it written down. No, not construction loan. It's like this 403K, something like that. It's called this. But get the ugliest house in the nicest neighborhood. With this special kind of loan, only certain banks do it. You do this loan, the bank will pay to get that house up to $300K. So say the house is $100K.
That's a gem.
And it takes $50,000 to get it to $300K. You're in $150,000. Live in it for a few years, sell it for $350,000. Then you just boom, you just made what, $100 and something $1,000.
Wow.
And then flip it and keep going and keep going and keep going.
Capital gain or whatever. So you got to keep doing it over
there
and over
it is.
again.
Yes, exactly.
That's
so
beautiful.
But so that's what we're doing, man. And you only need about $5,000 down with this kind of loan, and so it's like, and it differs from region, but what we're looking at, it's like looking real promising. So
that's good, and that's just a sign of God because we're like clicking this whole interview, even though we're using different lingo. It's like we're kind of on the same page. So,
yeah, absolutely. Just because we're all of the same worldview.
That's true.
Like he's saying, speaking into existence, he's not talking about Eastern mysticism. He has a Christian biblical worldview at his foundation, but he's using those, building off these kind of things. Like I said, I feel like all of it could lock in to a better.
I just understand the tongue is the most powerful instrument we have, and we have to use it. You have to literally, you have to speak it to existence. Tell God what you want, make it clear, make it happen. Write it down so you can make it even clearer. So then speak it to existence. Anything, think about what you want to do. I know we kind of poo-pooed on the law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
Well, I mean, these are secular terminologies, but if we stick to the Christian principles, these things are accurate.
Yeah,
so it's like being clear with your plan, being orderly, being in God's will. All these things are biblical. What we're saying, we're just using terms that aren't from the Bible, but like the principles of the matter is what's true. So like God, the clarity of God, like in Habakkuk, is write the vision on paper, make it plain, make it clear. And then just orders all God, everything about God is order and diligence. And then it's just when we're moving in his will as Christians, you know, it's like, I'm pretty sure God's will is for you to get a house. Like, I believe I would gamble that is a desire he put on your heart.
It's smart, it's practical, it goes along with being able to have a strong foundation.
go.
You know, we're investing in our future.
Yep. And
Like
you're
God
being smart
wants us.
about
God
it
is
too.
about like that joy.
Yeah.
Like from the creation narrative in Genesis, like he's saying, be fruitful, multiply. This is your garden. Do it.
There you
You know
go.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now I want to stray away from a like name it and claim it like prosperity gospel, because I'm not about that. I don't think that aligns with biblical standards. But I feel like as long as like we're reading in the Psalms, like delight in the Lord and He will give you your heart's desires. That's because you have a whole new heart.
Yeah.
So if you're just saying, yo, let me believe in Jesus and I'll pray for a Ferrari, like that, I feel like you're going about it the wrong
that's
way.
how people use it. They think they have a genie, but God does want you to have everything that your heart desires. That's what He tells you. I hope that you get everything you want, but you know what I'm saying? Like, don't lose yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the one you did earlier, right? Where He said,
delight in the Lord and He will give you
delight yourself in the Lord. So, and He will give you the desires of your heart. But by delight, what Gabe was saying is by delighting in Him, by being in fellowship with Him, He's putting on your heart the things you want.
Yeah, so it's not even what you want, it's what He wants for you. He's making that known to you. So now you don't want what you used to want, you want these new things that He already wants for you.
Yeah.
So and it's like this whole mindset change.
And if we think about God is love God, love neighbor, it's like, you know, your direct part of it will be a reflection of your direct relationship with God, and then a part of the things that we desire will affect our neighbor. So like if my desire is to open up this business so I can be a blessing in my community, gotcha. I believe that's of God. If my desire is to get this job so I can be a millionaire and stunt on everybody in my community, that's not of God.
Yeah, gotcha. yeah, super practical, like what you're saying. Man, I had this thought in my head. But yeah, super evident. Like I said earlier, like I like being introverted. I like being to myself. But
me too.
Since coming to Christ, since like delighting in Him and Him renewing, I don't want to just close my curtains to those that need help. I want to open up them curtains, open the door, and be like, how can I help you? Yeah. And that's not of me. Like I'd rather just be like to myself. But like it was uncomfortable, but now it is a delight. It is a desire.
That's good.
You know, Timmy, Jesus was flexing all over the place too. It's like, just so happened I was born and a few kings came to visit me, you know?
That's hilarious.
My meek.
But yeah, man, I really enjoyed being here for the finale. I'm glad you guys had me.
You're a specialist guest, man.
Yeah. We didn't call our boy Colton today.
Well, you know, he's busy with writers block.
Sure
shout out Colton, man.
Yeah, shout out to Colton. He'll be back,
guy.
Man. But shout out to you, Miami, our guest. He came in with the season and he's heading out with us.
That's right, man.
Season 3. Can't wait.
Season 3 coming real soon. Gabe, what do you want to see for season 3, man?
What do I want to see for season 3?
I know it starts with the INTER views.
every episode is gonna have interviews, multiple interviews. I want to have maybe even some debates set up, some panel discussions.
Panel, please. Speak it into existence. Nah.
That would be.
No, we're gonna do that. We're doing that.
No, I want us to become like official and really get different perspectives, different ideologies, and wrestle with those ideas on air.
I want to add, you know, I'm the audio guy. I want to add sound effects. I know that sounds simple.
Yeah,
sound effects.
We got to get Gabe the sound effects.
I want it to be right in this. So if you guys are listening, we're sitting in kind of in a circle, triangle. There's 3 of us. I want to put right in the middle this device where we can just be like, boom, touch the button and like, you know, laughter or or whatever, gunshot, explosion, whatever the sound effect may be, man. Just put it there. Big old labels like, yo, boom. So that's what I want to add. Some more dynamics to this podcast. Although I love the just chill nature of it, but I want to add some flair, just a little bit.
And I want that Abba Restoration Studio. You know what I'm saying?
Abba Restoration, man. I really feel like I'm excited. I'm really excited for whatever. I feel like God is just
Colin's pops. They're looking for this new building and like it's called Abba Restoration. It's like going to be this huge kind of
Abba Restoration Center.
Just something different than I've ever seen. It's like we're a church and we do these things, whereas like we do these things and we're a church.
Yeah,
so they're so community based as far as restoration. Like restoration is key.
Like you said earlier, serving the whole self. They care about your whole
focusing on
being.
all types of aspects. So they're offering like YNL to come have a studio there in that center,
Set up our
bigger
headquarters.
rooms. You know, like more. Yeah. So.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
I'm just mad excited, man.
But Miami, what do you hope to see in season 3, man?
Yeah,
You're
you are
an
our
avid
number one
listener.
fan.
Now you're a part of us.
Number one fan.
Yes.
Maybe a few more shows in the season than just 10. I feel like because the season, because think about it, we had a big break here, and the season still felt like it wasn't too long.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you guys had went straight through, it would have been real short. So
yeah, I know. Well,
I know that's easier said than done, but I'm just saying.
Ideally, moving forward, there'll be no more pandemics, so we won't have no more gaps. And then,
Wretched Corona.
I mean, yeah, I need those. I want to keep it to 2 weeks though, 2-3 weeks at the most in between seasons. So after this, like 2 weeks, I mean, we ready to go. We got our next episode lined up. So
yeah,
it's really just a pause in the way I'm writing the descriptions. That makes it a season. It's not like a huge gap. That gap was literally from Corona.
Because, I mean, Joe Rogan at this point is like 400, and this is episode 462.
Like, not even. I think he's like thousands now.
Oh, yeah, I can't. I mean, he does it every day. I mean, you got to think about it.
Even like we was just on House Rules. Shout out to House Rules, Joe, Yanni, Harry, and Scott. Thank you for having us.
Look at that memory. Good job.
I know,
right? Holy moly.
Hey.
Wow.
Hey.
That's the spirit.
Thanks, guys. No, but they're on like episode 2 something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They don't do. So yeah, he gotta be in the thousands.
And they don't do seasons.
That's what I see. Spotify, what's going on here? Come on now, throw us a few million.
Come on, son. We don't want 100, just like one.
I know, right? What's the other thing that you always got to do when they're like, oh, we got to pay the bills? Advertisement. That's what I was.
Yeah, we're actually getting into trying to get sponsors and things like that.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, Modelo. This is the Christian beer.
Things are looking promising, man. Sound bites, like say for example, Miami, you was like, I wanted to send you something to put on the show, like, hey, Tim and Gabe, love you guys' show.
Oh yeah, that
just
would
had a
be
quick
so
question.
dope.
Boom, insert that in.
That would be
all
dope.
right. That was Miami from New London, Connecticut. He just, I mean, obviously you heard him, and respond to it like that. So just
that's a fire idea.
Sounds that are just popping in and out. So.
Well, it's gonna be dope, and I can't wait till like 5 years from now when we're looking back, like, man, remember when we were in the basement? Like,
yeah, man.
Come on, son.
Because I mean, like I said, when Timmy first started rapping, if you would have seen what we were working with, it was
exactly. I had pictures from every phase of my career.
Yeah. You told me about, is that the mattress phase where you had mattresses?
That was prior to that. My very first studio was in my basement at my parents' house. I was holding a studio microphone, which is supposed to be on a shock mount, screwed in. I'm like holding it by my hand, and Brandon was on the piano, and the microphone was just picking up the whole room. So it was picking up the piano, like nothing was separated. It was my voice, the piano, laughter, movement. It was all picked up by the microphone. Ratchetness. And we was making records, man. And records. Wow. You can't call it a record, but it sounds professional when you call it a record.
Yeah, it does.
We was making
Is it cringy when you hear the music now? Do you still have it at all?
Play that joint.
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The thing is, I do have it all. I have a hard drive from 2008.
Is that the beast mode
works, the big boy.
Yeah.
Which I got rebuked for busting it out. Remember Dave was like clowning me?
Dave was like, this is your hard drive, bro?
The hard drive is like probably 10 inches by 5 inches. Mad big.
It had a cord, right? You had to plug it into the wall.
Power cord, yeah, wall wart. They call that a wall wart. So
that's crazy.
But it still works, and it still has files from 2009.
Oh, this is the joint right here.
It's the joint right there. That's like my backup.
It doesn't even look like a hard drive. It looks like a
video
PlayStation
game system.
1.
Yeah, no, we definitely can't play that. Oh my gosh, that's just
straight wretchedness.
I mean, literally, we were just
singing,
say anything that just came to us, but it's just. Good energy, good vibes. Good
so you guys were literally singing.
Great melody.
Even all rap.
We were doing anything. We were like more like this is like, and the funny thing, this was like doing like the lyrical days. Like we were more like trying to move more towards like melodies and stuff like that.
We were singing a lot.
Yeah, we were.
Just not lyrical. Let's sing.
Great times.
Oh,
man, well, season 2 has been a blessing. Who knows? Maybe season 3 will be 600 episodes.
Maybe we'll get rid of the seasons. You're right.
Maybe we'll get rid of the season. I don't know. But we're gonna take a little break and then get this next episode, whatever we call it, is gonna be. We're gonna take it to another level, like I talked about, just little growth, little areas we can grow on. Eyes on the prize, and that prize is the kingdom. That's what we're gonna stay true to. That's you can bet that. If any, as far as this podcast goes, the kingdom will be the message.
That's it.